Hello, our word today is summary. Summary, but not this kind of summary. Nothing to do with summer at all. The summary we're talking about is where you take a shorter version of something, maybe a story, but keep all the important parts. And we're going to start like we always do. Let's get that word into our heads. Let's help us remember it. Summary, summary. You can clap it. Summary. You can shout it. Summary. You can whisper it. Summary. You can sing it, but I won't demonstrate that one. You can jump it. You can stomp it. Do whatever you want. Write it. Read it. Say it. Get that word into your head because that will help us remember it and hook the meaning onto it. And thinking about the meaning, I'll go to my dictionary. So this is the one I use, and we will look up what it says about summary. So summary is a short account of something, so a short version, which gives all the main points, so the important points, but not the details. A short version of something with all the main points, but not the details. And one way we can help to understand the meaning of a word is by completing a word map. And that's what we're going to do now. So we'll start our word map by writing the word here in the middle. Summary. There it is. And using the helpful idea from Altmann, and they're in the video description, a link to their training, we're going to think about red for what you said. Red is about the sound structure of the word. Red for what you said. Well, we know that summary begins with a s, and it has 3 syllables. Summary. Begins with a s, summary, 3 syllables. And green for what you mean, we can think about the meaning of it. Well, we know that summary is a shorter version of something. Maybe a shorter version of a story, or a shorter version of explaining a science experiment. We know that it has all the important parts. So the important parts stay, but it does not have all the details. It's focused on the important parts, not the details. So we will cross that out. Part of understanding what a word is also understanding what it's not. It can also be useful to have a visual picture of a word, a visual image. You don't need great art skills. Maybe for summary, I would just do something like this, where there's an idea about lots of writing, lots of information, and then we're just going to go to something that is shorter, but with just the key points. And that might help me get that idea of summary and understand that a bit better. Blue for when to use. When might you use this? Well, maybe if you're talking to a friend, you might give them a summary of your holiday. You might summarize what you did on holiday. In school, you'll often be asked to provide a summary, maybe a summary of a science experiment. You might be asked to summarize, and we'll come on to that word. You might be asked to summarize an experiment. And you'll see there that the word changed from summary to summarize. Grey for another way, you might have summarize. Sometimes you might see that spelt with a Z instead of an S. It means the same thing. Summarize, that's what you're doing. When you summarize something, you create a summary of it. So you were doing some summarizing. You're summarizing to make a summary, and obviously if you have written more than one summary, you have written some summaries. So those are other ways that you might see the word, hear the word be used. Summarize, summarizing, summaries, it's all related to summary. Let's have a look at another way of thinking about this word. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at our word links, our word connections, those words that go with summary. So, looking around the circle, let's start with story. Definitely. Stories go with summary. That's one of the most common uses of the word, to summarize a story. Story and open, not really. Not a lot to do with opening and summary. Same with calculate. You'll be asked to calculate at school, but it's not related to summary. History is certainly related to summary. Often we'll be asked to summarize something from history, so that stays. Spine, we can get rid of spine. That's not related to summary, but shorten is. That's one of the key points about a summary. It's a shorter version of something. And we'll keep science as well, because certainly you might be asked to summarize some findings from science, summarize a science experiment. We can take brave out. That's not directly related to summary. We'll keep the main points in, and we'll take visible out. Visible meaning you can see something. It's not directly related to summary. So what are we left with? Well, we're left with summary being a shorter version of something that includes all the main points, maybe like a shorter version of a story. And it's used in lots and lots of different subjects. English, yes, but also subjects like history and science. They will all talk about summary. Okay, so we'll have a quick look at an example of a summary now. I'm going to show this visually using this visual plan here, because that will really help to show what we do when we summarize and help to show those key points, those most important points that we're trying to make. You won't always get the chance to plan before giving a summary. For example, if a friend just asks you what you did last night. But when you can, it is really helpful to plan a summary first, even if that's just in your head. Planning will help you to identify the key points that you're trying to get across and make sure that you explain those key points in the right order. Planning a summary first is particularly important if you've got to do a summary as a piece of work for school. So for this summary, we're going to imagine a typical weekend for my son, and we're going to think about what he might do in his weekend, a summary of his weekend. Well, the first thing to point out is this is a summary. We don't want all the details. We don't want to know exactly what he wore, when he brushed his teeth, everything he watched on TV, what he had for breakfast. Those are details we don't need to know about. So we'll get rid of those. We don't need them in our summary. What would be important for him on a Saturday morning, he often plays Minecraft, and he would like to do that online with his friends. We often go to Southsea Beach, and if we do that, he'd always want an ice cream. Why not? And as a family, we enjoy watching films, so maybe in the evening we watched a film about robots. On a Sunday, we usually go to karate practice in the morning and then have lunch at McDonald's afterwards. After lunch, it's time for homework, and then later on, maybe a bike ride, perhaps quite a long one, let's say 15 kilometers. So a summary of his weekend would look something like this. On Saturday morning, I played Minecraft online with my friends. Then me and my family went to Southsea Beach, had a big ice cream. In the evening, we watched a film together about robots. On Sunday morning, I went to karate practice and then had lunch at McDonald's. I did my homework,
And after that, I went for a long bike ride, about 15 kilometers. And that is an example of a summary.
Okay, so we've been talking about summary and summarizing things. So all that's left is to think about what you could summarize over the coming week. Maybe you could summarize a film or a program that you've watched, or you could summarize a visit that you've been to, somewhere you've been. You could summarize something that you've learnt at school. You could provide a summary of an art project or something that you have made, something that you're proud of. You could give a summary of a book or a story that you've read, or you could simply summarize your day. Whatever you do, happy summarizing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.